And we are back for another episode of the challenge series. It's a double upload. It'll probably be the only double upload that challenge series will get in year 2 because of the fact that the SRS schedule is longer than the CS one, but I just want to get this tier over with. Like, I mean, look at this list of races. Only one of these is really going to be worth writing home about, and it's going to be Brands Hatch, because this one's too short. You can't pass here, and you definitely can't pass here. So, yeah, let's just get Magione over with and see what it does to the points battle. Hopefully, Riley and Thomas can do, well, and then you look, maybe Madison and Stephanie won't get really the best qualifying grid spots. We can only hope. At the starting grid for Magione, and, well, we got one of those things, as Riley is on pole. But Madison starts really high. Stephanie honestly doesn't, and you can't pass at Magione, so the points lead is just going to get bigger. And also the shadow textures on the back of my car are really confused, so let's just stop looking at that. I was going to say we can hope that the Corvette's going to have a bad launch, but it can't. It doesn't really do that because it's not turbocharged. It's naturally aspirated, so it has, evenly spread power curve, but basically the power is good. Well, Stephanie's trying to minimize the losses. She's up 2 places and we haven't even reached the back straightaway yet. I don't find it terribly likely that Linné can challenge for the lead, as big as it would be for, well, everyone except for... I mean, she can challenge for the lead, maybe, but it won't matter much. If anything, what it's more important that she does is that she tries to keep more points out of the hands of Palmer, who is directly behind her. Because the fewer points she can score in this race, the less the points battle is affected, and we can, actually maybe have the points battle go down to the last race. If not, and if this finishes the way it does, and the next race goes anything like this race, we might be looking at a second consecutive rookie winner, and a rookie championship winner. Also, Madison scoring fewer points increases the chance of Riley getting into it as a wild card kind of combatant in the points battle, and means we could actually have a 3-way points fight for the end of the championship, like we haven't really had so far this year, because we definitely didn't do that last season, or that last championship either. Well, I totally lost the ability to speak there. I don't know if you noticed. Probably was kind of hard not to. Dedrick is getting aggressive, trying to get around Taylor, but that's not going to work because that's not the back straightaway. That's the only place you can do it, as Darius Burrell looks keen to demonstrate. But he broke incredibly early, and Dedrick was just like, all right, well, let's take that back. Trying to do anything to make this interesting, so I'm going with an onboard camera for this lap. Watch as Palmer attempts to make any kind of pass happen at this track, which you can't do that in. That was desperate. Still didn't get you anywhere. As we're playing ping pong with the gear shift down there. We have reached the last lap of the race, and man, not much has happened in the last two, so I don't think that'll change in this one either. This track almost feels like those Tilkdromes that F1 is full of now. Like, this second back half of the track seems like it's designed to like create close wheel-to-wheel battling through a consecutive set of corners. The only problem is that works great with, you know, human being drivers. Not so much with AI, as Riley is going to take a pretty, commanding win. Linnea is going to get second place. It'll be a double podium for the two Corvette drivers. Stephanie will just about manage 7th place. It's certainly an improvement over her previous round, but certainly not the kind of driving we expected to see from the person that used to be leading the championship so long ago. Now it is an 18-point lead. Another race like that, and Riley could take second points away from Stephanie. But I think it'd be foolish to say, especially with Madison's performances in the last 3 or 4 races, it'd be foolish to say that Riley has any hope of taking the points lead away. Because that would pretty much require Madison not scoring in one of these races. It could happen, but it's not likely. And that would also assume that Riley somehow won all 3, pretty much. If the points difference between the two is... Alright, so if the points difference between the two is 29, that's 2 whole race wins, which means that if Madison didn't score in either of these races, Riley won them both. It could be a battle in the last race for the championship between the two Corvette drivers, and maybe Stephanie, depending on how her races went. But that's unlikely. With how the starting grid has worked so far, it's unlikely that Madison would start outside of the top 10 both times. That, and even if she did, at Brands Hatch, you can actually pass. So odds are decent that she would actually be able to make those places up and score a few points there. Of course, scoring a few points isn't, a big deal. It's just a matter that Riley would have to win both races, and that is difficult in itself because trying to start on pole or on the front row twice in a row is even more rare. So there you go. But at any rate, let's just get to Highlands short and see what happens. Alright, we're on the starting grid for the short Highlands circuit. The starting grid has decided to smack Madison in the face. And trying to give Stephanie a chance to catch back up. Riley is in an okay spot, but she's not going to do a ton to minimize the points gap between her and the next cars if Stephanie is on pole. She would have to get a very good start, and she would have to get around these two for this to be a worthwhile starting grid position. Normally, I would say that's pretty easy, but this is the short circuit, where there's not much time to do that. Well, Riley has almost managed to overtake Pablo. Keyword, almost. Madison also not really going anywhere. This race is going to take 3 minutes, so... It'd just be easier if I just speed it up and put a bit of music over it. It's not even going to be 3 minutes, it's going to be like 2.5. And you definitely can't pass here because the road's just simply not wide enough to do that. Remind me never to use the Highland short circuit again. I'm just wasting space. Yeah, much to no one's surprise, because you definitely can't pass here. Looks like Stephanie is going to take a pretty easy win here at Highland Short. This, like, a sub 3 minute race. Where I don't think anybody moved up more than one place, and if anybody did move up a place, it was just because they had a better start than the guy next to them on the grid. Alright, now we get to the moment we've been waiting for, as it's now a 3-point difference at the top of the grid between Madison and Stephanie. Nobody else can even touch it at this point. So, just down to the top two, and a distant third for Riley, which could still be converted to a second or first in points, but that would require neither driver to score in at least one of the next 2 races. Like they'd both have to not score once. So it's not terribly likely, to say the least. Well, we are on the starting grid of Brands Hatch, and this is certainly interesting. Pablo Hernandez is on pole. Hyde is third. And the 3 people that are in contention for the points for the championship are 7, 8, 9 on the starting grid. So it's basically going to be a battle to see who can gain the most. And so Riley is certainly hoping that Thrasher and O'Reilly can somehow pull something out of their behinds and pass these 2. I don't think Isabella's going to be able to do it outside of bizarre circumstance. If Riley can't gain a lot of points on those 2 at the very least, it's going to be very close for the points lead come the final race at Vallelunga. Now, the classic Brands Hatch stack up, especially when Hyde goes literally nowhere off the grid. Oh, the Corvette drivers are getting together, putting Riley almost in the sand. I swear I'm developing a southern accent. Well, Stephanie's been overtaken by Isabella, and I don't think Riley will be next. So yeah, unless something crazy happens, Madison's going to have a pretty healthy points lead at the end of this race. And Riley is going to have no chance of taking it away from her. It's going to be just Madison and Stephanie competing for the points, or competing for the champion. I just keep assuming it's referring to points lead. No, it's for the championship now. It's the last race after this. Good Lord, Raker. Yeah, Pablo's already lost the lead to Akira. That doesn't surprise me at all. And Stephanie has fallen off the face of the earth in this race. Thrasher has also passed her. Riley has a chance of taking 7th away from Madison. She has to do that if she wants to have any even mathematical chance of taking the win away in the championship, but good luck. That's all I can say. Especially if you keep missing the hairpin. That's not going to help you any. I was like, that's really unorthodox. It could work because of its weirdness, but I think you're just better off waiting. She's trying to look for a space that'll never open. Because she is understandably getting a little desperate. She needs Hyde to continue to hold Madison up for at least another lap. If Hyde can put Madison in a bad spot going into turn 1 or 2, then Riley can capitalize. If not, then it's going to become very difficult. If Madison gets around Hyde, Riley would have to do the same, and that will pretty much guarantee that Madison will finish ahead of her. At which point, I'm not even sure if it would matter if Madison didn't score in the last race. It's not like Riley could take it away. At that point, that would just be down to how many points Stephanie can muster. Yeah, it's not happening unless Hyde blocked her or Hyde pulls it on the outside. I find unlikely. Nope. And she could have cut her losses, but Hyde immediately tried to take it back, and that's just totally hung her out to dry, and I think that means that Madison is going to put Riley out of contention with that. You know, look to, well, really it's the battle for second, because Akira is in the next dimension already. There's not really a ton happening here either. Stephanie and Thrasher both passed Isabella on that lap. So Stephanie is, well, going to be scoring a point for now. Thomas trying to follow Isabella, or trying to follow them through and also get around Isabella for 11th. A lot of curbing means that Isabella is forced to take to the gravel for evasive action, and Thomas will end up with that place. And Riley's not even going for anything for a T1. She didn't go for anything at all. She's actually getting gone for by Thrasher. Riley's going to fight back. Does the Cobra acceleration carry Thrasher away from her? Just about... No. We have another corner. Riley with the inside again, and I think she's going to secure 8th from Thrasher with that. But I don't think she can get any further. No. Likewise, Madison also won't be getting further, but also I don't think she has any reason to want to go any further. Not worth the risk, with the last 2 corners here not really being passing areas. Better off just taking your bonus points over Stephanie and running with it to the last race of the championship, and taking your relatively easy, rookie debut championship in Tier B. It'll be a Corvette, more than likely. I manages 7th. Pablo takes 2nd because apparently Travis couldn't do anything about the M4 driver. Isabella, you good? The race is over. You don't have to go bananas anymore. 8 points the difference as we hit the final race. If, once again, it's down to finishing 4th or not finishing 4th. If Stephanie cannot produce a top 3 finish, then Madison automatically wins the championship. And if Madison produces a top 3 finish, she automatically wins the championship. So at minimum, she can tie with 4th place. I think. I don't know, we're just gonna go into the race. We're on the starting grid for the last race, and the 2 people fighting for the championship are starting right next to each other on the grid. Stephanie 8th, Madison 9th. They've got quite a bit of work to do if Stephanie is going to make any kind of challenge for the win of the championship. She has to score 3rd or higher. From here, it's not impossible, but considering the track we're at, it might as well be. And Dedrick is a moron, changing lanes like 3 different times up there, which checked up the whole field, and that's basically going to give Madison the win. Because she darted ahead of everybody by taking a 3rd lane, and Stephanie had nowhere to go because Isabella was there. Just for insult to injury, Riley is now going to actually overtake Stephanie too. Never mind. You good there, Thomas? You have plenty of track available to you. You don't need to take the grass. Dedrick and Taylor fighting for 4th. Green versus green. Green wins. Why am I not surprised? Yeah, there's not a ton to write home about in this race. There's not going to be. This track isn't exactly a spectacle to behold. It just put some tarmac and curbs around some random field someplace in Italy, and I'm not really sure if they considered the fact that the track they're making wasn't really all that interesting. But Madison, despite literally having the championship locked in, pretty much, is still trying for extra credit. She's just trying to rub it in, and maybe she's just going for as many points as possible. She's trying to crack 100. If she is going to do that, she would need second place. So I don't think she'll get that far. Thrasher's up 4 places, but, I mean, he still needs to get another to score anything. And corners like that, not usually how you score points. Linne is actually looking on track for another podium. I mean, kind of a resident sleeper in this championship. She has, kind of like the last one. She's had good podium finishes. I think she took a win, maybe? I don't remember. No, I don't think so. But for every race she's finished like top 3, top 5. She's also had one where she's finished like 13th. The Lotus drivers have actually kind of been a non-factor in this championship. And Gina taking 7th, maybe 6th here would be some much needed redemption for a driver who hasn't really had much of anything on this championship. I think she's tied for last with Hyde. In points, that is. So actually Hyde scored recently, I think, so that might not be the case. As we approach the last corner of the race, Travis is going to remind us that he is in fact a Tier B champion, even if this championship didn't accurately reflect that at all. And he is going to win the final race in Vallelunga, but more importantly, with 5th place in hand, Madison Palmer, another rookie champion in the Challenge Series. About 13 points. She could not quite reach 100, but she still scored over half. Gina with a crushing last in points, despite the other Mazda driver bringing home 50 points for 9th. Another driver who definitely got a little bit crushed by their opponent that's in the same vehicle. Well, I mean, kind of embarrassing for actually, that's really it. The only other one that has a very big group or very big distance between them is Thrasher and Thomas, who Thomas defeated Thrasher in points by 16, despite them having the same car. In the end, because of her pathetic final 2 races, Riley doesn't even end up in 3rd in points. In the end, the Porsche drivers all kind of came back, just to kind of remind us, oh hey, by the way, we're still the best car in the tier, and the fact that Madison won Might have been a fluke. Might have been starting grid luck. Who knows? Actually, in the end, Thomas and Riley. Thomas and... God darn it. Riley and Thomas tied for 5th. And I say the Lotus drivers were non-factors. They still got 7-8. They just, like, didn't have any standout performances most of the time. The Lotus drivers were kind of like the Miata of this one. They had to rely on good starting grid spots. If they got them, they could maintain them. But they had to start high to finish there. If they started, like, 12th, they usually didn't score that race. Yeah, so Tier B is done and over. Now we head to Tier C, which will be a 4-episode championship. And this is going to be stacked. We've got Riley back in her Corvette. We've got Hyde in an F40. Thomas O'Reilly in a GT40. Taylor Lynn in just a faster version of her car from this tier. Michael Krieger is back, and he's got the Group A M3. Akira is here in the same Supra versus another new driver from Thrasher's crew, Kazuya Takahata in a GTR Nismo, Thrasher and GT40 of course. Diedrich Hammer finally is returning, and he will drive a Mercedes 190E Group A. I'll be in this championship driving another V6 Lotus. Hikari is finally showing up again. This time he's also in a GTR. Darius still in the Supra. Linne has chosen a GT40 for this tier. Gina will be showing up in a Supra this time. She's finally abandoned the exclusivity to Mazda. And Fren Fidanzi is another debuting driver from Thrasher's group. She will be driving... Nope, that's a guy. His full name is Francisco, I think. He will be driving an Alfa Romeo 155, Group A. So you'll have a Group A battle. They have all of the major players from previous championships outside of... Oh, no, Travis is the only one really missing here because there is no Porsche in this tier. And these two absolutely hate each other. These two are brothers. A bunch of drivers from Thrasher's group. Obviously, Thrasher is also there. Hyde will finally have a competitive vehicle rather than the like, you know, the Econo box by comparison that the GTO looked like. And I'm finally in the championship again because I skipped Tier B.